Hi, this is Joe Bartz. Welcome back to Everyday Hypnosis. If you suffer from PTSD, DID, schizophrenia, or any other condition that is contraindicative to hypnosis or relaxation techniques, please consult with your physician before engaging in any of these exercises. So I'd like to welcome you to this new year, 2026. Hope you all had a great holiday season and have gotten a good start to this new year so far. We're continuing today with the skeleton exercises that we started last year. The next step is to take that feeling of connectedness that we had and transport it into a less calm, sterile environment like inside to outside. This particular step is a little less involved in the sort of body scan exercises that we did with the first ones, and I like to call it the 5 senses. Basically, you find this place outside that is relatively quiet and calm, but not as controlled as inside, and you begin to go through your 5 senses. What do I mean by that? Well, you start by taking maybe your sense of sight. I like to start with a sense of sight because then I can kind of close my eyes and focus a little bit more on the other senses afterwards. But it really doesn't matter. You can also keep your eyes open if you like. The first step, though, is to see what's going on around you. The key here is to not identify what it is that you're seeing, or not describe what it is that you're seeing in words, but just simply to observe. Like if I see a squirrel climbing up a tree or hanging in the tree, to observe the texture of the squirrel's fur, maybe even the color. If you're here in this part of Europe, you might see a red squirrel or a black squirrel. Or whatever, if there's a cat, if there's a tree, look at the bark and the texture of the bark. The key also is just to observe, to try and remove as much of your language filter as possible. To get kind of away from, well, I'm looking at this, so I expect to see that. To see the different hues of the color of the sky, see the different hues of the cloud colors, or whatever it is around you. It doesn't matter, but just to observe without identifying, and most definitely without any type of value judgments. That tree looks beautiful. Well, the tree looks the way it looks. How I define it is an abstraction away from what the tree is. Then the next step would be to take the sense of hearing and do the same kind of thing. Listen to the sounds that are going on around me. Listen to the noise that the air makes, the noise that whatever it is makes. And again, refraining from descriptive terms and value judgments of those sounds that you're hearing. So even if, let's say, some sort of sound like the dump truck is going by and it makes a really nasty screeching sound, to avoid, I don't like that sound. Well, obviously you don't like it, but to try and really gain a feeling or a sense of the character of that sound. And there are no good or bad sounds, objectively speaking. Then go to the sense of smell, the sense of taste. I like to end with the sense of feeling because at that point you could go into, let's say, maybe the first step of the skeleton exercises where you kind of feel the connectedness to your hand and to whatever it is that you're sitting on. But the most important part is to go through those 5 senses and to try and really stay away from identification, value judgments, and while doing that, also to try and really remain here by yourself and looking at the world through the first person perspective. And that's actually what the self is, the thing that observes the world around you. The next step beyond that would be to go through the previous steps of the skeleton exercises. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the weeks to come. Give me a thumbs up or a like. Maybe subscribe to my channel. Tell me what you think about this stuff in the comments, and we'll see you next time.